The marketing firm's New York office buzzed with tension as Jamal Carter, a talented black employee, prepared to present his innovative ideas for a new project. Greg Thompson, the ambitious and prejudiced boss, watched with thinly veiled contempt. Jamal felt the pressure to prove his worth as he confidently delivered his presentation, showcasing a blend of creativity and market insight. As Jamal finished, Greg's dismissive body language spoke volumes. Without acknowledging Jamal's efforts, Greg swiftly called for a team meeting. The atmosphere grew heavy as Greg announced his decision to demote Jamal, citing a need for more experience. The shock was palpable, and Jamal's colleagues, including Lisa, remained silent, fully aware of the injustice unfolding before them. Jamal left the meeting room, his mind reeling from the unexpected blow. He retreated to his desk, trying to process what had just happened. The weight of disappointment and frustration settled on his shoulders as he contemplated his future at the company. For a moment, he considered quitting, but a spark of defiance ignited within him. Jamal decided he wouldn't let Greg's prejudice force him out. He would stay and fight, determined to prove his worth and expose the discrimination he faced. As the day wore on, Jamal's resolve strengthened. He began documenting his experiences and gathering evidence of his contributions to the company. He knew the road ahead would be challenging, but he was prepared to stand his ground and fight for the recognition he deserved. Jamal's phone rang unexpectedly, breaking his concentration. On the other end was Maya Lee, a renowned pop artist known for her chart-topping hits and social activism. Maya explained that she was searching for a fresh concept for her upcoming album and had been impressed by Jamal's talent at a recent industry conference. Without hesitation, she invited him to collaborate on her project. Jamal's initial excitement was quickly tempered by concern about his precarious position at the company. He weighed the risks and benefits, considering how this opportunity might affect his current job. After a moment of deliberation, Jamal's passion for creativity and the chance to work with such a high-profile artist overcame his fears. He accepted Maya's proposal, seeing it as a potential lifeline in his career. Meanwhile, Lisa, Jamal's colleague, had been observing the changes in his demeanor since the demotion. Disturbed by the injustice she had witnessed, she decided it was time to take action. Lisa began discreetly investigating the company's culture, reaching out to current and former employees to collect stories of discrimination and unfair treatment. She was determined to gather evidence that would expose the systemic issues within the organization. As Lisa delved deeper into her investigation, she uncovered a pattern of discriminatory practices that extended beyond Jamal's case. She meticulously documented each account, building a compelling case against the company's toxic culture. Lisa knew that speaking out carried risks, but she was committed to supporting Jamal and fighting for a more equitable workplace. Jamal's first meeting with Maya Lee was a breath of fresh air. In a sleek studio, far removed from his stifling office, Jamal presented his creative ideas for her new album. Maya listened intently, her eyes lighting up with each concept Jamal shared. For the first time in months, Jamal felt truly valued and heard. As they brainstormed, Maya sensed Jamal's renewed enthusiasm but also noticed an underlying tension. She gently probed, and Jamal hesitantly shared his recent experiences with workplace discrimination. Maya's expression hardened as she listened, her mind already forming a plan. "Jamal," Maya said firmly, "I don't just want a hit album. I want to use my platform to drive real change." She proposed incorporating themes of inclusion and social justice into the album, suggesting that Jamal write a powerful anthem about overcoming discrimination. Empowered by Maya's support, Jamal opened up about the challenges he'd faced throughout his career. He shared stories of subtle prejudices and blatant discrimination, each anecdote fueling their creative process. Together, they explored ways to transform these experiences into lyrics that would resonate with listeners and inspire action. As they worked, Jamal felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. The studio became a safe space where his ideas were not only welcomed but celebrated. Maya's encouragement and their shared vision for the project reignited Jamal's passion for his work. They spent hours dissecting societal issues, debating how to address them through music, and crafting melodies that would carry their message. The result was a collection of songs that blended catchy pop hooks with hard-hitting social commentary, each track a testament to Jamal's talent and resilience. Lisa's anonymous article exposing the company's toxic culture hit the internet like a bomb. Within hours, it went viral, spreading across social media platforms and catching the attention of major news outlets. The piece, while carefully avoiding names, painted a damning picture of systemic discrimination and bias within the organization. Greg Thompson, caught off guard by the sudden media storm, scrambled to control the narrative. He called emergency meetings with the PR team, issuing carefully worded statements that attempted to downplay the allegations. However, his efforts proved futile as more employees began corroborating the article's claims anonymously online. The situation escalated when a prominent news portal decided to investigate further. They reached out to both Jamal and Lisa for comments, sensing a bigger story brewing. After careful consideration, Jamal and Lisa decided to take a bold step. They agreed to a joint interview, ready to go on record with their experiences. The day of the interview arrived, and Jamal and Lisa sat side by side, facing a room full of reporters. With unwavering resolve, they shared their stories, detailing instances of discrimination, unfair treatment, and the subtle ways prejudice had permeated their workplace. Jamal spoke about his demotion, while Lisa revealed the pattern of bias she had uncovered in her investigation. Their testimonies were powerful and unequivocal. As they spoke, they became more than just employees airing grievances. They transformed into the faces of a movement for equality within the corporate world. The interview, broadcast live and shared widely online, sparked a nationwide conversation about workplace discrimination. In the days that followed, Jamal and Lisa found themselves at the center of a media whirlwind. They received messages of support from people across the country who had faced similar challenges. Their courage in speaking out inspired others to share their own stories, creating a ripple effect that extended far beyond their company. The fallout from Jamal and Lisa's interview was immediate and severe. High-profile clients began distancing themselves from the company, unwilling to be associated with the scandal. Greg's attempts to manage the crisis through carefully crafted press releases and superficial diversity initiatives were met with skepticism and derision. Amidst the chaos, Maya Lee saw an opportunity to amplify the message. She organized a launch event for her new album, making it clear that this wasn't just about music, but about social change. The venue was packed with fans, media, and industry figures, all eager to see what Maya and Jamal had created. As the crowd hushed, Jamal took the stage. He performed the anthem he had written with Maya, his powerful lyrics resonating through the hall. The song's message of resilience in the face of discrimination struck a chord with the audience. Following the performance, Jamal spoke candidly about his experiences, his words carrying the weight of authenticity and urgency. Midway through the event, a commotion near the entrance caught everyone's attention. Greg Thompson had arrived, attempting to do damage control. He approached Jamal, his face a mask of forced contrition, trying to initiate a public reconciliation. But Jamal wasn't having it. In a moment of raw honesty, Jamal confronted Greg, recounting in detail the discriminatory practices he had endured. His voice, amplified by the microphone he still held, carried across the stunned audience. Greg, unprepared for this public reckoning, stammered through weak denials and excuses. The crowd's reaction was instant and overwhelming. Boos and shouts of support for Jamal filled the air. Cameras flashed as reporters captured the confrontation. Greg, realizing the situation was spiraling out of his control, beat a hasty retreat, leaving Jamal standing tall on the stage, vindicated and empowered. As Greg disappeared into the night, the event transformed into a rally for workplace equality. Maya joined Jamal on stage, pledging her ongoing support for the cause. The evening ended with a sense of hope and determination, marking a turning point in the fight against corporate discrimination. The aftermath of Maya's album launch event reverberated through the corporate world. Greg's public humiliation became fodder for news cycles and social media discussions. Desperate to salvage his reputation, he launched a smear campaign against Jamal, attempting to paint him as a disgruntled employee seeking attention. However, Greg's tactics backfired spectacularly. Inspired by Jamal's courage, numerous colleagues began stepping forward to corroborate his claims. They shared their own experiences of discrimination, creating a united front against Greg's leadership. The company's boardroom became a battleground of heated discussions and accusations, with Greg's position growing more precarious by the day. Lisa, emboldened by the growing support, organized a company-wide meeting to address the toxic work culture. The gathering, initially met with skepticism by some, quickly turned into a powerful forum for change. Employees from various departments shared their stories, proposed solutions, and committed to creating a more inclusive environment. As the movement gained momentum, Greg made a last-ditch effort to maintain control. He approached several team members individually, offering promotions or bonuses in exchange for their loyalty. His attempts at manipulation, however, only served to further unite the staff against him. Many recorded these conversations, providing even more evidence of Greg's unethical behavior. The company's human resources department, long silent on these issues, found itself overwhelmed with complaints and demands for action. They were forced to launch a formal investigation into Greg's conduct, putting him on administrative leave pending the results. Throughout this tumultuous period, Jamal emerged as a natural leader. He used his newfound platform to advocate for systemic changes within the company, pushing for transparent hiring practices, diversity training, and clear pathways for reporting discrimination. His measured approach and willingness to engage in dialogue earned him respect from all levels of the organization. As the days passed, the once fractured workforce began to coalesce around a shared vision of equality and respect. The company culture, long defined by competition and fear, started to shift towards collaboration and mutual support. Greg's divide-and-conquer tactics had ultimately failed, leaving him isolated as the company rallied around Jamal's call for change. Riding the wave of momentum, Jamal and Lisa decided to take their fight beyond the confines of their company. They launched a social media campaign with the hashtag #InclusionNow, aimed at exposing workplace inequalities across various industries. The campaign quickly gained traction, with thousands sharing their own stories of discrimination and advocating for change. The hashtag became a rallying cry for employees worldwide, sparking conversations about diversity and inclusion in boardrooms, break rooms, and online forums. Jamal and Lisa found themselves at the center of a growing movement, fielding interview requests from major news outlets and invitations to speak at industry conferences. Meanwhile, their company was forced to publicly address the mounting criticism. The board of directors, under intense scrutiny, began internal discussions about implementing comprehensive diversity and inclusion policies. Greg, still on administrative leave, watched helplessly as his influence waned. Seizing the moment, Maya proposed a second collaborative event with Jamal. This time, they planned a benefit concert to raise funds for organizations promoting workplace diversity. The event drew support from other high-profile artists and corporate sponsors eager to align themselves with the cause. As preparations for the concert were underway, Jamal and Lisa continued to push for change within their company. They worked with HR to develop new training programs and establish employee resource groups for underrepresented communities. The once toxic work environment began to transform, with employees reporting increased job satisfaction and a sense of belonging. The #InclusionNow campaign's impact extended beyond their immediate industry. Other companies, fearing similar exposure, started proactively reviewing their policies and practices. Diversity consultants found themselves in high demand as organizations scrambled to address long-ignored issues of inequality. Throughout this period, Jamal and Lisa remained committed to their day-to-day work, proving that advocacy and professional excellence could go hand in hand. Their ability to balance these responsibilities earned them even more respect from colleagues and industry peers alike. As the benefit concert approached, the momentum behind the #InclusionNow movement showed no signs of slowing down. What had started as a personal fight against injustice had grown into a nationwide call for corporate accountability and systemic change. As the pressure mounted, Greg made one last desperate attempt to neutralize the threat Jamal posed. He arranged a private meeting and offered Jamal a lucrative position in a different division of the company, far from the current controversy. Greg presented it as a promotion, but his true motive was transparent. He wanted Jamal out of sight and out of mind. Jamal listened to the offer with a mix of disbelief and determination. Without hesitation, he declined, stating firmly that his fight for inclusion was more important than any individual career advancement. Greg's face fell as he realized his last play had failed. Emboldened by his decision, Jamal threw himself even deeper into advocacy work. He began speaking at industry conferences, sharing his experiences and offering practical advice for creating inclusive workplaces. His talks resonated with audiences, and soon he was receiving invitations from companies across the country to consult on diversity initiatives. Meanwhile, the public pressure on the company intensified. Shareholders began questioning the board's handling of the situation, and there were calls for a complete overhaul of leadership. The turning point came when a congressional committee announced it would hold hearings on workplace discrimination, citing Jamal and Lisa's case as a prime example. As the date of the hearing approached, tension within the company reached a fever pitch. Greg, still clinging to his position, attempted to coach other executives on how to testify. However, his efforts backfired when several of them, fearing legal repercussions, decided to be fully transparent about the company's failings. Jamal and Lisa spent long hours preparing for their testimony. They knew this was their chance to not only expose the issues within their company, but to advocate for broader systemic change. They gathered data, personal anecdotes, and expert opinions to support their case. The night before the hearing, Jamal reflected on the journey that had brought him to this point. What had started as a personal fight against injustice had grown into a movement with the potential to impact countless lives. As he reviewed his prepared statement one last time, Jamal felt a mix of nervousness and resolve. He was ready to face whatever challenges the hearing might bring, knowing that his words could help shape the future of workplace equality. The congressional hearing room buzzed with tension as Jamal and Lisa took their seats. Cameras flashed and reporters scribbled notes as the proceedings began. Greg Thompson, looking visibly uncomfortable, sat with the company's legal team, attempting to maintain a facade of composure. As Jamal began his testimony, his voice steady and clear, the room fell silent. He detailed his experiences of discrimination, the company's toxic culture, and the systemic issues that allowed such behavior to persist. Lisa followed, presenting the evidence she had gathered and highlighting the patterns of bias throughout the organization. Greg's turn to speak came, and he attempted to deflect blame, citing company policies and denying personal involvement. However, his carefully crafted responses began to unravel under the committee's pointed questions. His discomfort was palpable as he struggled to explain the discrepancies between the company's stated values and its actions. Midway through the hearing, an unexpected turn of events occurred. Sarah Johnson, a former employee who had left the company years ago due to discrimination, stepped forward to testify. Her powerful account of the long-standing issues within the company, predating even Jamal's experiences, sent shockwaves through the room. Sarah's testimony corroborated Jamal and Lisa's claims and painted a damning picture of Greg's leadership over the years. She revealed instances of covered-up complaints, retaliatory actions against those who spoke up, and a persistent culture of fear and silence. The committee members, visibly moved by the testimonies, praised Jamal, Lisa, and Sarah for their courage. Several high-profile attendees, including civil rights leaders and industry titans, voiced their support during the breaks, adding weight to the cause. As the hearing progressed, it became clear that this was more than just an examination of one company's failings. It had turned into a public reckoning on workplace discrimination across corporate America. The committee members began discussing potential legislation to strengthen protections for employees and increase accountability for companies. By the end of the day, the impact was undeniable. The hearing had not only exposed the depth of the problems within Jamal's company, but had also ignited a national conversation on corporate culture and equality. As Jamal and Lisa left the hearing room, they were met with a crowd of supporters, all eager to continue the fight for a more inclusive workplace. In the wake of the congressional hearing, the company's board of directors took swift action. Greg Thompson was fired, and a comprehensive overhaul of the company's leadership and policies was announced. Jamal, recognized for his integrity and leadership throughout the ordeal, was offered a senior position to spearhead the company's new diversity and inclusion initiatives. Jamal accepted the role, seeing it as an opportunity to implement real change from within. He assembled a diverse team and got to work, revamping hiring practices, implementing bias training, and creating mentorship programs for underrepresented groups. The company's culture began to transform, with employees reporting increased job satisfaction and a stronger sense of belonging. Months later, at a company-wide event to mark the new era, Jamal took the stage. The room was packed with employees, media, and industry observers, all eager to hear from the man who had become a symbol of corporate reform. Jamal delivered an impassioned speech about the importance of inclusion and the ongoing fight for equality in the workplace. He acknowledged the progress made but emphasized that the work was far from over. As Jamal spoke, the camera panned across the audience, capturing the diverse faces of the new company leadership. In a corner of the room, barely noticeable, sat Greg Thompson. He had come to witness the changes he had long resisted, his expression a mix of regret and dawning understanding. The event culminated with Jamal receiving a prestigious industry award for his work in promoting diversity. As he accepted the honor, he dedicated it to all those who had the courage to speak up against injustice, including Lisa and Sarah. The applause was thunderous, a clear indication of the impact Jamal had made. In the following weeks, Jamal's company became a model for others in the industry. Requests poured in for Jamal to consult with other organizations looking to improve their diversity and inclusion efforts. The #InclusionNow movement continued to grow, with Jamal as one of its most prominent voices. As for Greg, his fall from grace served as a cautionary tale in corporate circles. He found himself ostracized from the industry he once dominated, forced to confront the consequences of his actions. In a final twist of irony, he enrolled in one of the diversity training programs he had once dismissed, taking the first steps on a long journey of personal growth and understanding. The story of Jamal's rise and Greg's fall became a case study in business schools, a powerful reminder of the importance of ethical leadership and the strength found in embracing diversity. As Jamal looked to the future, he knew that while significant progress had been made, the fight for true equality in the workplace was an ongoing journey, one he was committed to leading.